Hey guys, you are listening and watching to Inside iOS Dev. Today with you, your host Sandeep Agarwal.
And Alex Bush.
So you must be remembering our last recorded session regarding the unit testing. Alex has shown us how to design a basic view model testing, how were getting the counter value from the service provided, and we were testing it whether that counter was setting to the correct value, uh, right? So today we are going to tweak that part a little bit. So in the previous session, the service was returning a constant value of 5, right? But you know what? In real scenario, we don't get such easy situations. The service could be the background service you are hitting, and it can return a random value based on different situations. Okay. And if that starts returning random values, your view model test would gonna fail, right? Because you are just testing for the hard coded value 5 here, right? So let's jump dive into that situation. Head over to you,
Perfect.
Alex.
So yeah, as you guys can see, what we did, we changed the return value to the random integer instead of hard-coded number 5. And now when we run the test, it now fails. And the assertion, the expectation, the then part, right, is not correct anymore because we expected value of 5 and we got random value of 6. So how do we sort of, what is the problem there, right? And the problem here is the problem of dependency and problem of stubbing and mocking the data for the unit test. So what we really care about here is the behavior of the main view model and sort of testing that it is correct. We don't really care much about the service, right? Because this is not the unit test for the service, and we're not validating and testing that what it does and returns. What we do care, again, what we do here, care here about is the view model. And what does the view model do? Well, really, when the do work method is called, it asks the injected service for some piece of data. And it's supposed to save this piece of data, in this case, without any modifications, to its internal storage, right? In-memory storage. Well, how can we sort of, in this case, for the sake of test, not use actually the production version of the service, right? Which returns random values that we cannot rely on. How can we use something that we control more and can rely on for unit tests? The technique for that is called mocking. The unit test mocks, stubbing, mocking, faking. There are sort of multiple names to it, and they're actually kind of, there's a difference between fakes, stubs, and mocks, which we'll not get into today. But overall, people kind of colloquially call it mocks, like all of them as a group. So in this case, we want to have a mock of the service that we're injecting in the view model in our unit tests instead of the real production service. So the best way to do that, and the sort of the easiest way, is to rely on interfaces and or protocols. And in our case, we have the protocol, and we are already injecting, thankfully, the service into the view model. What we do need to do is to actually create a mock. And the way we would do it is by conforming to the same protocol that the actual production service conforms to, but then creating something that returns, another value that we expect. And
Wow, it passed.
oh yeah. uh, anyway. Okay, so here's what we did, guys. We created a new type inside of our unit tests target, right? So for the sake of this example, it's in the same file as the test case, but it's actually probably should live somewhere in this folder, right? In some sort of a mocks folder group, right? But we created it. And again, as I was saying, to mock something in our code base for unit testing purposes, we want to rely on interfaces, on protocols, and implement something that conforms to the protocol that your system under test, in this case, main view model, depends on, right? And in this case, it depends on the service, or specifically something that implements service interface. So we created a service mock that conforms to it and has that method. And then we injected it instead of, as previously, injecting the actual production service in it, right? And the way this mock behaves, right, instead of giving, like, doing the work or something that the production one does, which is in this case a random number, what we're doing, we're having this extra variable which has nothing to do with the interface. The main view model doesn't rely on it, but for the mock it's needed, where we store the stopped value, right? And for method, right, stopped value that we want to return from the fake method in this case. And then we use it. So after we initialize the mock, we can actually set and tell it, okay, you are returning this particular value for this particular unit test, right? Because in some other scenarios, you might have test number 2, test number 3, and you want to check, okay, what if this thing returns like number 7, and then the behavior of the do work on the main view model should be different and the end result should be different too, then you would do that, right? You would set this value to like some other number. And then we inject the service mock into this view model in the test. And the rest of the test is just like before, right? We have a event of when something happens, then what do we expect? And as you can see, the test passed now. So we successfully used a mock in our unit test. Okay, guys, that was it for today. You can reach us at hello@insideiosdev.com or tweet at us at insideiosdev on Twitter. And reach out if you have any questions or comment under the video on YouTube. Please like and subscribe it. It helps a lot. And we will see you next time. Happy coding.